watched the movie It Chapter 2. Was it the spectacle everybody was saying?
So I think this should be spoiler free.
Yes. No spoilers on this one.
So basically, what my take from the movie, because of the source material, because he was going from the source material. If they had to write their own movie, I think it could have been so much darker, so much this and that. But they went through the source material, and because they had to go through the source material, things structurally were a little weird. The storytelling aspect changed completely. It was not a linear story whatsoever. It jumped around back and forth. I mean, it was like it was more of a carbon copy of the original made-for-TV show,
which tried to go perfectly with the book.
Yeah, but it was more in that kind of storytelling than the original of this movie version. So, I mean, that was it was different artistically. Was it the scare fest that people were saying it was? Oh my God, this is going to be so much more terrifying than the original. I didn't find the original terrifying. I found it entertaining. I found it enjoyable.
I found this one had a way different pace than the original. The original, I didn't feel like it was one thing led to another, and it was just snowballing. I didn't feel like I was sitting there for 2 hours and 10 minutes for the original. This one, it kind of drug on for the first half the movie, and then you really enjoyed the second half of the movie, and I love the little twist toward the end that you were expecting it to go this way, but it didn't. And I'm not. I enjoyed that.
So a couple little things that just kind of got contrived and very derivative is you had in the very first movie, It Chapter 1, you had a story of an adventure. They come together, they have to travel and do this, they have to go this. There's like a set of events that they have to go to. In this movie, it was almost like, okay, so the adventure's not there. We're at a motel, a B&B, Airbnb in Derry, and in and out, people just keep going in and out, and they haven't left yet. That's literally the whole movie.
Well, they did something different, and with this one, when they left Derry, they no longer remember anything that happened in Derry. I need to establish that in saying that's why it's a different movie, because it's just or it would just be them arrive, them kill it, the end. That's it. That is the whole entire story of the adults.
So yeah,
in the book.
they had a little new way of telling this story, so that way it lasts the runtime.
Yeah.
Which is okay. It kind of gets annoying at some points because it's almost like they forgot what they did the characters actually did forget what happened, and they have to remember what happened in the first movie. So it almost seemed like this movie was just saying, "Hey guys, remember the good movie we made?"
I do have to say,
and here's extra scenes.
I'm happy that they didn't show us a whole bunch of scenes from the original. They made new scenes.
Yes.
I'm happy for that reason.
Yes. Okay, so all of the remember what happened in the first movie was all new scenes shot for this movie, but it was still remember this better ensemble. Remember this because
to be honest,
the adults did have a nice ensemble and connection, but at the same time, they never felt as good and solid as before. Now, keep in mind, that was supposed to happen because they haven't been friends for 27 years. They haven't been friends. They didn't even know each other's phone number. But then that's the weird thing is they come together and instantly they're all friends, and then you're like, oh, well, you know,
yeah,
remember our friendship.
You see the building scene of them friendship, but then we never established they're friends. It's just now they're talking to each other like friends from that point on. So there's no more building friendship, when the original was this, and then the slow progression of building friendship.
Yeah.
They just go, hey, we rekindled it in this one scene real quick.
In the original,
The end.
In the original movie, they built on people because they had an event that happened that brought them together, and they were like, oh, you know what? Well, I guess you're now part of the Losers Club, and then you had like that slow fitting them into the mix, and that was really nice how they did that. Here, because they were like, oh, you were already friends, okay. We still have to kind of establish they haven't been friends for 27 years. Get them into the mix. But they substituted that for a bunch of scare scenes. And the scare scenes worked. They were cool. They were interesting. But then after a while, what kind of felt like was... And this is not getting into spoiler territory, but if you have so many scare scenes with your main characters, you kind of feel like the main characters are never gonna die. They're like vulnerable or invulnerable to Pennywise. It's like Pennywise can kill other people like this, but for some reason the main characters they can't touch. He can't seem to do it, even if they're alone and just as scared as the other people, you know? Yeah. So after too many of those scenes, it almost felt too much. It was like, give me some of the character building scenes as friends. Be friends again.
Yeah, it wasn't until little later down the road when they were actually going through the horror that they started having friendship building moments.
Yes.
And that's why I'd say the second half of the movie made up for the problems with the first half of the movie.
Yeah, and again, we're not going into spoilers. We're trying very hard not to say anything that would ruin the movie for anybody. But yeah, I mean, is the movie as good as the original? Now, when I say original, 2017 version, I would say no in storytelling wise. In cinematography and all this stuff, it looked great. It felt great. You get the emotions that you want. He tried to go epic in this movie. Epic. But I think it was because of the source material never went epic. That you couldn't go epic. So he shot it like an epic movie, but the source material didn't allow that. And so I think it was literally the only downfall of this movie was the source material, adapting it from the source material.
I think with knowing the story of it, I think it was a perfect adaptation for it. I think it did it. I think it did everything the original book did. And is there the only gripes I have is from the source material and is the original book and story. Other than that, I think it is a perfect adaptation for the second half of the original.
I do feel like it is the best Stephen King ending, which also has a very Stephen King meta joke in there throughout the movie that we're not going to spoil.
Yeah.
But there's a Stephen King meta joke in there that I think this is a good ending. It is a good movie.
Oh,
Is it the movie?
I choked up at the end.
Yeah, I was feeling it too. But is it the movie that everybody made it out that it was going to be? I think the expectations were too high. I think it could never have lived up to those expectations.
To be honest, for me, I think it did well. It rose to the expectations that everybody else is going to see it as, not your expectations. You've seen 3, 4, 5 times this many movies. You your expectations go to really high standards.
You know, I think part of the reason why this movie didn't live up to my expectations is because I was not expecting that much. I was expecting a good movie, but it was the marketing. The marketing of this movie made it up to way too much expectation that I feel that will hurt audiences' appreciation of this movie. When you say, oh, let's say they said, oh man, this is the most blood you've ever seen in a movie scene. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm going to debate that one easily on that one.
Actually, I'll tell you why I think it doesn't beat Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, but I think it possibly beats everybody else's but it was contained.
In Nightmare on Elm Street 1, you have the geyser of blood, and because they had this filled it.
I would. It's about the same. I would have loved more of the heart that Andy. I don't know his last name.
I can't pronounce.
No,
I
can't.
It's like
the director
Muschietti.
I don't want to butcher it. I respect his heart in his movies, and he's really good at that. And I wish he just stuck with that, and then just peppered some horror.
He's great at characters.
Yes.
He's great at building characters. He's good at suspenseful horror.
Yes.
He's good at suspenseful horror. That's why I even say, I think the problem with this movie is
they were given more of a budget.
No, it wasn't the budget. It was they were trying to. They have to appeal to everybody in the source material. They have to appeal to everybody and stay true to the source material. And the source material gets very outlandish for it. People think that it's a grounded movie. They don't know that there's literally a turtle in space with the Earth on its back and stuff. They don't know that it gets very outlandish.
Yeah.
And they try to steer clear from that, but at the same time,
they did well.
Keep it together.
They did well with that. There was almost a supernatural aspect
in certain elements,
in a part. But
I mean, Pennywise is a supernatural element. Come on.
Yes, but they explained his origin, how he got there.
Yeah.
That supernatural aspect, they only hinted about it, and then they brushed it off. Love that.
Yeah.
They
tried
brushed
to
away all the bad parts of Stephen King's writing.
They tried to stay a little bit more grounded. But no, the movie was good. The movie was good, and I think we'll final thoughts. The movie was very good. If you don't go in taking all the hype, just go in expecting a good movie, a good solid movie. Now, does the first beginning seem very jarring and you're like, this doesn't work? Yes, but you have to give it 20 to 30 minutes to kind of get its flow.
Up until they meet each other, I felt it was very just this. Boom, 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 boom. And there was no really character building between them. It was just, here's a quick little minute and a half, and then a call, and then suddenly next person. Minute and a half, next person. And you don't get that. So is it... Yes, the second half of the movie makes up for the first half, and it makes me happy on that aspect. So I would recommend people going to see it, and I think they would categorize it. If you hold the first one near and dear and you enjoyed it, you'll enjoy this one. You will.